I convene the September 21st, 2022 regular board meeting to order at 7 p.m. Chris, please call the roll.
Marjorie Bartelli.
Here.
Karen Larson.
Here.
Jenny Norton.
Here.
Liz Sullivan.
Here.
Emily Swistak.
Here.
Lorna Turner.
Here.
Sarah Wynn.
Here.
Thank you. Agenda item 2 is opportunity for visitors to speak. Public comments for the general public to address the board. Each person will have up to 5 minutes to provide public comment. Seeing as no one is here, we have any request by email. Thank you. Item 3 acknowledges that Trustee Sullivan and Trustee Turner reviewed the August billings in September, and that Secretary Larson and Trustee Wynn will review the September billings in October. Agenda item 4 is consent agenda. Is there a trustee who wishes to pull something from the consent agenda? If not, may I have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda?
I move to approve the consent agenda. I second.
Thank you. Any questions or discussion? Chris, please call the roll.
Liz Sullivan.
Aye.
Lorna Turner.
Aye.
Karen Larson.
Aye.
Jenny Norton.
Aye.
Emily Swistak.
Aye.
Sarah Wynn.
Aye.
Marjorie Bartelli.
Aye. Thank you. Agenda item 5 is unfinished business. 5A is the capital improvement project. Item 5A1, monthly project status report. Mark, would you please update the board?
Of course, and actually I'll start off by saying thank you to board members and the library staff that signed a nice card of congratulations that was sent to our house. So thank you very much for that. It was actually well received by my wife. It came on a good day. So thank you for that. Jumping into the project, included some pictures. Basically, in short, the finishes are underway on the phase 1 of the project. So ceiling tiles are going in. The way finishes work, you kind of do walls and then tile, ceiling tile I should say, and then work your way back down to the floor. Flooring is supposed to start this week. In fact, they've started prepping for some of the VCT areas and things like that. Finishes, you turn the corner quickly, you can get through those in a couple weeks usually. So that's going well. The one thing I'll point out and just jump right into right at the bat is the new north entry canopy. The structural steel had some fabrication errors from the subs of Camosi. Camosi caught it, had them remake it, and then had them remake it a third time. So third time's the charm, but because of that, Camosi couldn't commit to holding the main move dates. We'll get into the move dates a little bit later on, but instead of moving in early October, we'd like to tie it into moving in late October so that main entry can be done.
So they completely redid it or they just adjusted?
Took parts off, had them remade and put parts back up. So actual pieces of steel were fabricated and they put some shims in that just weren't working right. Yep. So that's why you're still seeing the structural steel right now on the main canopies. Actually, as of today, they just had an inspection on the cold form framing. That's kind of the framing that the plywood goes onto, that the wood then goes onto. That passed today. So actually, we're starting to see plywood go up this week. So there is now progress being made. It's just past month they were expecting to be done with that plywood and onto wood, and they're not. So wanted to make sure you knew about that. Other than that, though, the next phase of abatement, or the found abatement we had to do, that was done. That's completed, out of the way. So basically all of phase 1, everything that was found when we went and demoed is taken care of. Move planning is underway. So we have some revised dates we'll talk about today, but the movers are on board with those, as well as any of the furniture installation for the workstations. So that's good news too. Any questions on progress before I jump on? And you're more than welcome to get out there too. I know I think Director Weinstein has said tours have been arranged or can be arranged. Yep. So in terms of schedule, this is on page 2. I did update this to show that the schedule is pushed into October. I will say that Camosi also said that that time period of 3 weeks of delay, they are not charging the library for. So they've come out and said that it's not going to cost the library, and we have not seen any costs come from movers having switching dates or furniture install switching dates. There's been nothing. So that's good news as of right now. I am showing the completion of the project out into February though, instead of March, instead of January. So that kind of coincides with this month push. Upcoming activities, we have phase 2 abatement. We got that planned for October. Temporary occupancy planning, we will need to go and get a temporary occupancy from the village. So we've already submitted those plans as part of the general permit. We have to resubmit and make sure that everyone's on board. So that'll happen here in October as well. And then the main sign, which we'll talk about tonight. Any questions on the north side should be completed in October. So that's the game plan. We're trying to tie in the north side canopy and site work. That's still going to be going ongoing while we're doing the move. We're trying to tie the move completion with the north entry completion so you don't lose more time.
And then the elevator was installed in December.
Yes, we're trying to get that open. I don't know if I have specific dates on the elevator yet, but I know we're trying to get the south entry before December 1st. Okay. In fact, they actually just measured for stairs. They think the stairs are about 3-4 weeks out from right now. And there's still a lot of work after you get the stairs on site, but they measured for stairs and that's in progress right now.
What goes on the underside of the canopy?
Wood. So that cedar wood will go on the other side too.
And then speaking of the canopy, so then is there gonna be something that's connecting the canopy to the building? Because there's that like opening, you can even see it in the picture here on the south side, you can see that little part where you can see the sky through it. Is it, because I know it hangs over the roof a little bit, but is it gonna be joined at all or is it just gonna stay open like that?
No, on the north side, I know it stays open. The south side, they have a cricket and they tie the roofs together.
Okay.
So I believe on the south side, there is some sort of joint where it ties together slightly.
Okay.
But they're two independent structures completely.
Okay.
So in other words, the canopies are not, the load is not going into your main building.
I was just curious about with like rain or snow collecting on it and then where it will go.
Into your existing gutter systems.
Okay.
So actually, you can't really see it in the picture, but on the south entry, the picture you're looking at, there's a stone wall that sticks out on the far side of the picture. It's
Okay.
up by 2 feet. There's actually a downspout
Okay.
that was an existing downspout that they re-ran and is tied into
Okay.
for your snowboat to go in through there.
And the difference between the north and the south will be enclosed in glass.
Yes.
And the
entrance-
north is going to be more of an open canopy
Oh.
concept.
So where these two pillars are that we see on the
Mhm.
outside of like that platform, that's gonna be enclosed in glass right there?
Yes. So what happens actually, you can barely see, there's a very small little metal tube vertical.
Mhm.
The column in the middle of it. It's tiny compared to the
Oh,
other.
yeah.
So on the left side of the far side of the picture of that, that's where you walk in.
Okay.
You actually turn right and go, that's where the airlock is. And go in through another set of doors. So your double doors are actually not parallel to each other. They're on an angle.
Right.
So you walk in through one, you turn
Okay.
the corner, walk in the next, then turn
Okay.
back up.
And then the one though on the north entrance is just gonna be open
Straight
air.
in. It's open air, and then the current exterior wall is the first set of doors, and then they built
And
in
then
a
there's
second
the
solar
set in.
inside.
Okay,
The width of the RFID room. That's
okay,
what it actually is.
cool, thanks.
Oh, that's the other thing. The RFID is set up to install 1010, so we're working on that too. So they
Could I
covered.
ask a quick question? What RFID equipment is actually being installed? And is it sitting on a LAN of some kind?
You mean in terms of the data connections?
Yeah.
So there is a data connection that runs into that room that ties it all together to the system. So that runs to the server. It's the actual sorter. So when we're not going to have an exterior drop, we'll have an interior drop. If someone comes in, they can actually put the material in through a slot in the wall that then goes onto a conveyor belt and sorts it into multiple bins. I believe we have 4 bins.
Which is the room that you showed us?
Yes.
Okay.
Mhm.
So when you say RFID equipment, you're including that
Software and
The sorter.
bins.
and the bins and the sorter.
And the gates are part of that whole package. Yeah.
Okay. So it's software that sits on existing servers.
I'm not sure where their software sits, but the software comes with the purchase of the equipment.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I'm kind of getting a picture of it now. Okay.
Yep.
Thanks.
Anything else? All right, upcoming activities I think I've covered. Project cost updates. We really didn't have much in the way of changes right now. We did just move things around and we obviously have the power washing covered up there. But the delta from last month is only about $1,600, even though we covered the extra $9,000 because we had some credits built in from change orders back and forth during this past month. And obviously environmental remediation actually came down from last month because we had everything squared away and it's $5 or $6 grand cheaper than what we thought it would be. I'm going on to change order update, just so everyone's aware. You can see we had the $9,000 approved masonry cleaning, which is in progress right now. We found some conduit that had too many wires through it, and we needed to add an extra outlet as well for some back of house staff spaces. So they had to add some extra circuits and things like that. That was found conditions. Then we had a credit of almost $1,500. That was actually for how they rearranged the elevator machine room back by the elevator shaft. So that's why it says south. Sorry, I cut off the south elevator, but it's south of the elevator. The only other thing I'll point out is the open alternates. So we have 3 alternates. These are all related to the meeting room, so phase 2 work. And I've had some discussions the past couple of weeks with the AV designer, and that all 3 of these things, wireless screencasting, so if you just have your laptop on there, instead of hooking anything up, you just press a button and it goes. And then the wireless microphone, which if that happens, the $17,200, you have to do the upgrades for the assisted listening. So if you have a powered microphone system, you have to have the assisted listening system. All of these things can be added on later on. However, there are conduits that need to be run on the ceiling that we'd want to run now. So we are going to be asking for a price for what is the conduit at least for that. And that way the library can decide in a year or maybe at the end of the project or whatever else to put those pieces in. So just FYI on that, I don't think we're in the position yet to say, go ahead with all these, but we are in a position probably where we can say, go put the conduit in.
Yeah, and I think that the board was supportive of providing the infrastructure, but not these alternates. And I'm not even sure the alternates are, all of these would be something we consider.
Right. So that's something we'll have either for next month or if it's small enough dollar amount, we might just, I don't know if it's something you'd take a look at that point, if it's a couple $1,000s or something.
Before we leave this page, electricity is always worried probably all of us. Have we double, triple checked that we're going to have the electricity that we need to power
The equipment. that you have.
everything? Like
That's-
for now, in the future?
That's what the engineers have been tasked with doing. So they've gone through, identified where all the pieces of equipment are, put outlets in there, put extra outlets in there, made sure there's outlets enough for all the workstations.
Okay.
Now, that's not to say that there won't be an instance where you might need a power cord or power strip somewhere. You always run into that. But there should be enough power for the libraries for the future.
Yeah, and actually, the access is one point and the load coming in is the other point. So having enough quote unquote power or load, we have that. And I think back when we had the FQC report initiated, before we even went forward, we connected with ComEd and they came in and assessed the building and they determined we had more than enough load coming in. It was just the way it was distributed around the building. And that's what created, surges or, failures and things like that. So I think the renovation will be taking care of the access points, but the load, I think we're okay.
Well, and I can't even imagine what the average person is going to be carrying on their body by the next 10 years. You know what I mean? That would have to be plugged in. And I'm just there's this fear in the back of my mind that, we've got all these plugs and if we don't plan for them now,
Yeah, you're going to be wishing you had them later on.
Yeah.
Right. No, and we've looked at it a few times during design phase, especially for the public areas to make sure, okay, yes, here's a table, there's a floor outlet or something in the vicinity. And that was something we looked at a couple months ago actually for the second phase.
And we're in place table so that
Right.
we have walls, we have floor near the public seating.
Mhm.
So
Okay.
That was actually one of we did go over the past month or two, especially with the elevator, and look for VE options, value engineering. Can we take out some outlets? Can we do this, do that? And some of it was like, well, unless we get to a point where we have to, let's not. We looked at the second level, we need all the floor outlets. It's like, well, yes, we do because of that exact situation.
Thank you.
Any other questions on this section?
Okay, exterior signage. So,
let Andre
Oh.
read the,
it's a different topic, sorry.
Yes.
582F, exterior signage options and discussion.
All right. So I know last board meeting, there was discussion about the signs and where do we go? And from what I took out of that, we needed to get a little bit more refined options and we definitely needed to see price ranges. So price ranges have been coming in today. Basically, I've been trying to get multiple prices to get a range for all these options. So there were 2 firms that we had reached out to at this point because we have multiple options. We're going to need to bring in more firms for pricing once we finalize a direction, at least 1 or 2 signs to get. Because obviously when you ask firms to price 5 different options, they look at it and they don't, they're there, but they're not really embedded in it. So that being the case, just a reminder that the project budget currently is carrying $25,000 for exterior signs. We've allocated that above the line. So that's part of the soft costs that they were carrying in the budget. And there are some other miscellaneous signs in the site, like the entrance and exit sign into the north lot and the south lot directional sign that says pickup window in this way when you first enter. But those are small dollar amounts compared to the rest of these. So let's look at just the marquee sign. This is your main sign as you walk in here. So that being said, concept one, let's start going through them. This is to maintain the existing columns that you have. So this would be in the same location. It's a larger, they call it sign box than what you currently have. Currently you have roughly a 2 foot by 8 foot, roughly, sign box. That was the pricing we originally had, and that was somewhere in the range of $500 to $7,500 to replace a 2 by 8. The price range for option one that we're getting for a 4 foot by 8 foot is somewhere in the range of $10,000 to $15,000. Concept two, which is a brand new sign, brand new location, brand new footing, structure, everything else, and that yellow bit in the bottom would be like a stone or veneer type look, something substantial, not just metal. And actually an interesting side comment as we get through these is the signage vendors that did talk to highly stressed that you need to have some sort of plinth to lift the sign up, because as soon as you put snow there or plantings or mulch, you're not going to see the bottom foot to 2 foot of the sign. So that plinth was needed, especially as you get into other concepts, you'll see where that's needed. But that range just somewhere in the range of $25,000 to $30,000. So that would be at the budget amount that we've got. Getting into concept three, this is where I got giant ranges and swings back and forth because they're so varied and there's so many options on what you could do. If you did this all in stone, except for where it says Lisle Library District on the top two, you're probably looking somewhere in the range of $50,000. If you VE and do some metal boxes and things like that, you can maybe get it down to 35, 40 range, but probably closer to that 40 at the end of the day, honestly. And then we also have to be careful on the size of these, because on the top option 3A, you want to make sure that the logo isn't cut off by snow and everything else. You want that to be up that foot or more if we're going to go that route. Option 3C, that's not really an issue, obviously. And 3C, you might be able to get a little bit more at the VE lower end of that range, because you can basically do the whole top thing out of metal potentially and just have less foundation work and less stone work to deal with. That's
What would that cost be?
That's probably closer to that $35,000 range.
And this is just one vendor?
No,
providing these?
one vendor provided concept three numbers.
Okay.
2 vendors provided concept 1 and 2 pricing.
Because they wouldn't go further until we whittle down our.
Well, exactly. And regardless, I think once we whittle these down, we're not going to limit it to 1 or 2. We're going to go out. To get apples to apples prices from vendors, we need to know what direction and allow them to really hone in on what the pricing is. So we'd go out to more than 2 once we get this, especially as soon as you're over $15,000, you actually have to go out. And depending on what this is, there's design work involved. So we have to make sure that we're getting everyone to go apples to apples when they give us pricing next time. Because this is the marquee sign, I don't want to say this is a rush for this sign. I think this needs to be done right. You need to get your options. You need to get it priced right. So we're not looking for direction today. But we are looking for those to say, okay, the next step, to take it to the next step, we probably need to whittle this down to 1, 2 options at most to go back and get pricing from multiple vendors. Any questions? Dr. Weinstein, did I hit everything on your end, or did you have any thoughts in seeing these?
Well, I think the ranges you're getting, I'm trying to understand the ranges that you've received. So they're probably just throwing out numbers at you because you've given them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 choices. And I think that we understand low to high, and then maybe the last one is a middle-ish.
Closest to concept 2.
Yeah.
The numbers you threw out just a minute ago apply to all 3. We weren't looking at just 3A.
Yes, correct.
So, okay,
Yes.
thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So would you go back to these first 2 vendors, or would you expand your reach to?
We would go back and expand.
Okay.
And we'd want to, at a bare minimum, get 3 solid pricing, and if we can get up to 5, that'd be great. some vendors might drop off because if, say you went to concept 2 or 3, there's too much foundation work or things like that. They might say, well, you guys go deal with and have your contractor put the foundations in and we'll just do the metal cabinet on top. And so we're trying to find who do we go to? How do we go to that can get it all done correctly? Because I'm assuming that this might come in towards the end of the project. At that point, we're fighting with frost in February. So at that point, maybe it's actually a March install or something like that, which I don't want to advise that you're paying Camosi to stick back just to put the foundations in for a sign. I'd like to find someone that can do it all.
One more question about number 1. That is this using the existing pillars in the same location.
Correct.
And everything else is new footings or whatever you wanna call them in a different location.
Correct.
Moving the sign.
Correct.
Okay.
And that's
And
why
then
the cost.
I know
Jump.
that did anybody examine the pillars to see if they're
One
in
of the
good condition? Cause I know Beth took a look at them, and what was your, just
I
to see
think-
if they need
I think that they need help. A lot of tuck pointing, something to make it look nice. It looks like it's pretty worn and
sure.
some of the stone. You know, you want it to be uniform. In some areas, it looks like it's really worn away, and other parts, it's better. So, and especially it seems like, excuse me, around where the cross piece attaches into the pillars, there's a lot of wear right there.
Where the moisture is sat, probably.
Yes, probably.
Right.
So if we go with 1, we just need to be aware that there might be some work that needs to be done on the pillars too.
Is the size of the sign piece different between concept 1 and 2?
Slightly, but not much. And really, in terms of concept, it's just the border that goes around the sign.
And what would that size be?
Roughly 4 foot by 8 foot. Yeah, so actually that would help. So 4 by 8 is concept 1 and 2. 2 might be slightly larger for the border. Concept 3A and 3B, we assumed is 12 foot long. And concept 3C, we assumed is 10 foot long. It looks a little bit skewed, because that's me playing with Photoshop and trying to get it. We priced it out at 10 foot long for 3C.
And
What color, I know this is so minor, what color yellow? Do we have existing coloring in anything where we use the yellow?
Believe we're going to have not a yellow and but is it a brass color on the 2 signs that are on the wing walls of the entries.
It's like I think it's like a bronze.
Bronze.
Yeah.
So we're gonna have that color in there. Trying to think of any other yellows.
The yellow, there's a very pale yellow in the logo, the actual logo. But if you're talking about this, is that what you're talking about?
Well, both, I mean, I see that they're two
This is
different-
just, I think this is just to show contrast.
Okay.
We can pick
Yeah,
whatever we
it could
want,
be a
whenever.
like a limestone wash or something
Yeah,
like
it
that.
could be
Not even a color. It could be-
Gray, whatever we want it to be.
And is the green the color that we're painting the?
It's close. That would be the intent, is trying to get something that goes with that.
Again, that's a choice we can make after we decide on the concept or the design.
How certain are we that we can move the sign away from where it is currently to where we would ideally put it?
All indications in terms of from the village are that we have no restrictions on where to put it as long as it's not in the easement. And since that's on your side of that sidewalk, there's been no restrictions known. If we were to go down the path of one of the new signs, we would definitely have further discussions, but the village said, submit a signage permit application, and we'll review that, is what their comment is right now. So I'm trying to make sure that we have something to give them, essentially, to confirm that 100%. Because I know, that's, if it's a non-governmental entity, I think that, and that's really what it is. The code allows for governmental entities to put the sign really where needs to be. If it were private, I think there'd be more scrutiny on it. To be blunt. Based on code.
I don't know if I interpreted what you said right or wrong, but I'm not warm and fuzzy about that.
I don't wanna say
That's not a
100%,
high
yeah.
degree of confidence, and I would not wanna, if I were in your shoes, give that, because, it's certainly in the future and with other people's, judgment involved.
Right. Well, that's the thing. If I don't have I didn't have someone come up and say it's blessed, which is
Right.
what you obviously want, but they won't do that until you get a permit from the land.
Yeah.
So it's a chicken and the egg
It
type
is
of thing.
exactly, it's like the chicken and the egg.
Yep. But I pressed on that and I got there's a government, I can't remember what, it's explicitly in the code. There's a line in there that I don't have memorized. It says, basically the restrictions are it has to follow IBC code in terms of its construction.
So if we wanted to move forward with a concept that moved the sign
Mhm.
location before we got into any material commitments with a vendor,
Yes.
we would have the approvals for the move.
Correct. I would not advise that we sign up and build anything until we actually submit that permit package.
I mean, so we would be able to get to a point where if it did not get approval, we could revert back without having incurred costs.
Yes, I think there might be some slight costs to get to the design fee, which I know that we had to do some slight design fees originally. It was a couple $100.
Right, yeah, but we're talking nominal, we're talking.
Yeah.
Just,
Yes, and it's
nothing-
not architectural design fees. It is your signage vendor design fees, which are very economical.
So if they were to move the sign in concept one, the sign itself, you're saying is roughly around 10,000, then what would it cost to move and fix the
That's
structure?
in other words, if you wanted to go with concept one but in a different location,
Yeah,
we didn't price that out, but where you're going all into new foundations, I'm sure that would be very comparable to concept two cost, which is at 25 to 30-ish range.
and then on concept two, how high does the base have to be?
It's they take a look at it, but they recommend at least a foot, ideally 2 foot off the ground. That gets you clear of kind of the low plantings and snow.
Even though you remarked we don't need to decide tonight.
Right.
I asked the trustees if we possibly could pick two that we might be able to decide on tonight, so we narrow it down somewhat.
To get quotes.
Right.
Would you all be prepared to do that?
Yeah.
Okay. Who wants to start?
But before we do that, I mean, it's interesting because when you redraw the baseline, it changes the appearance. Because if you think about how, like, I'm looking at concept two. This base right here looks to be pretty short. Not very deep, but it's actually going to be half the size of the top half.
But Mark said we have to raise it.
Right, but when you draw it that way, it changes my opinion as to whether I think it's attractive.
Right now, you can picture this as being roughly a foot tall, maybe a little bit. It's right about a foot because inside border to inside border, that's roughly 4 feet. And this is all
Right.
Photoshop. This is not legit drawings right now.
It's not to appropriate scale.
No, but it's approximate scale, guideline scale. So from here to here is roughly 4 feet. So this is
Yeah.
about a foot, maybe a little bit longer than a foot.
And you said ideally it should be
1
1 to
to 2
2, which if this is 4, that makes this half the size of that. So to me, if this is a quarter the size of that, it's attractive. If all of a sudden it becomes half the size of that, to me, it changes it dramatically. That was my point.
Now keep in mind,
Then
you
you
won't
talk
see
about
that bottom half if you're gonna put some sort of
Plantings.
landscaping
You're
there.
not gonna see it.
You'll just see whatever's above that landscape. In other words, if you put a boxwood there, that boxwood's gonna cover the entire 2 feet potentially eventually. That's where you start getting into once we get, and I know what you're saying, to determine in your own mind what's the most attractive, you're trying to picture the whole thing. I think that the way you can look at this is saying, okay, where do we want to fall in terms of overall mass of this thing and size? Do you want it to be smaller, larger? Do you want to reuse? Do you want to put it in a new location? Those types of things kind of hone us down.
And I guess I was considering, and maybe I misunderstood, I thought you meant 1 to 2 feet would be visible above ground.
Without any plantings. So
Okay.
if you have grade, you might, when your 1 to 2 foot is somewhere in this range where that bottom of that sign is.
Okay, so nothing is under the ground. You're not sinking it.
No, it would have to be sunk. So you'd have something 4 foot down below grade to get down to the 6 inches.
Okay, so we would decide what to plant in front of it so that we would decide how much we want to show. Is that what
You
you're
could do
saying? Okay. Okay. I just wanted to get all that straight in my mind.
Well, Emily, would you like to share?
I like 2 and 3C. That's my 2.
Okay, take a poll here.
You said you were doing. You said you wanted us to give you 2 choices. Those are my 2.
Okay. Lorna?
I like 1 and 3C.
Karen?
I like 2 and 3C.
I'm sorry, what?
2 and 3C.
Jenny?
1 and 3C, and I would really like to stress that 2 still has a monument look to me that I strongly dislike. Especially if we put plantings in front of it. I mean, now we're really pushing it. You know?
We won't put your name on it.
You missed that conversation. Did you watch it?
No, I wish I was here. I'll watch it, yeah.
Okay. Liz?
I like 2 and 3C.
2 and 3C. I would like to come back and say one thing about 2 that I don't dislike, that I actually prefer, is that it's the only one that has that border that really ties the logo and the other half of the sign together. And I think that just a little bit of detail is a more attractive presentation.
I don't know that I can pick 2. I know that I definitely like 3C.
That's interesting, Jenny, what you just said. I wonder if in 3C,
I was just looking at that.
they could do something like that, that same kind of border piece, and I mean, it would be a little bit taller then, right? Because it would have to fit it.
Mhm.
But I mean, I think that is a really neat feature.
And may I ask the director what her preference might be?
After hearing about the snow, I mean, my first preference was, I liked 3B. I really liked that.
3B?
I liked 3B originally, but after hearing about snow and plantings and such, 3C, I think fits the bill. It keeps the profile lower, so traffic, you can still see over the sign when there's a hill. You've got our logo there. It's very similar in size to what we have now, just a little longer, a little bit more visible. I think it's a good choice.
Okay. Did we, would it be possible to get quotes on, let's see, we have 2 that would, indicated 1. We have several 2s. And the majority is 3C.
Mm-hmm.
So could, I'd like to suggest we get quotes on 2 and 3C. Is that agreeable?
I do think since we aren't certain that we can move the sign, it wouldn't hurt to get a quote on using the existing.
And I think one of the firms that did provide quotes, so that's just so everyone knows in case anyone knows what the names, Captivating Signs is one of the companies, or Naperville, and Image 360 out of Lombard is one of the companies. We'll reach out to others too. But Image 360 provided a fairly hard number, I'd say, for the one, concept of one option. So I think we have that. We can press them a little bit further on that without having to do too much legwork, at least to have it in the back pocket.
Okay, everyone good with that?
Right.
We'll move on to 5A3. Phase 2 rule plan discussion.
All right, so last topic for me tonight, I rolled through at the very beginning about pushing the move dates from early October to late October. The reason being that the contractors feel that they can have the north main entry done and safe for use by the end of October. So roughly October, the last Friday in October is the 28th. So with that being the case, we started backwards and worked backwards from the 28th for the move. So library moving would be the 19th to the 28th. We know that flooring is already starting to go in this week, so we are not changing the new workstation furniture install, nor are we changing the RFID install. And the RFID did slip a week in the 10/10, but we're starting them all. We want that before the move because it allows, if the workstations are in, it allows the move to be a lot much smoother and less overlapping with things. So if that's the case, we do want 8 days of working days for the move. Like the move contractors committed to completing their work in 5 to 6 days. You still are moving into a new wing of a building essentially, and everything's been gutted, everything's been redone, nothing's the same. So with that being the case, you need staff to have time to make sure all the bugs and gremlins of things are out. So that's why we'd say if, okay, they think they can get it done in 6, I'd rather give them at least a day to make sure they're safe at 7, and then let's give staff a day to make sure everything's right. So that's why we got to 8 days. So Wednesday through Friday, if the board is comfortable with that. I don't know if there's any questions. I obviously can walk through any more detail that you want.
Any questions?
I think we have a generally good level of trust in the judgments that have been made on our behalf to this point with respect to timeline. But can you take us into a little bit deeper dive on, is this baseline for a project of this scope, that this is the least amount of, closure that could be managed, or what were the pros and cons of doing a slightly shorter or slightly longer?
You could do potentially slightly shorter, going down to 6, 7 days, something like that. The cons of that is when people walk in the door, staff aren't set up, they don't know where to go, things aren't working, and they get frustrated and they leave. Or they get frustrated and all of a sudden they're frustrated with staff and things escalate because staff don't know exactly, okay, where is this thing? Where is that thing? How do we get the books right? So I think we try to get things done in an orderly manner. A very similar move, another library's looking at doing it the same rough time period. They're taking 2 weeks off, a full 10 days. So I know, speaking with Dr. Weinstein, there wasn't an appetite to allow this to go to 2 full weeks. It had to be done sooner than that. So I think the shortest I'd advise would at least be that 6 to 7 days. And that 8th day is really our cushion to make sure everything's right. And I would advise against shortening it just for that one extra day for public. I know some public would really want to be there that day. I get that. But if they come in that day and something's not right, it's not set up well, it's going to reflect poorly on the whole situation.
Thank you. How about any flexibility in the dates themselves? Is the date range proposed, could it be slid forward or backward if that fell into where there were, fall break or other types of peak users, for patron expectations or things going on? Like, is this ideal timing, or could it be scooched a little bit? Has that already been vetted?
Well, the date really was driven based on when Camosi felt that they could have the entry. So we didn't really push them on it. I didn't want to push them further on getting it done sooner because we have been pushing them on it. And they said that's the date they feel comfortable with making it safe. So in terms of going earlier, you're not going to get buy-in from them in terms of making that entry safe. In terms of going longer, in other words, pushing it out another week or so, I don't think you're going to have an argument from anybody because it's just going to give them more time to get things done and polished off. But at the same time, then you have the back end effect of what they can't start in phase 2 a little bit longer, cold weather and everything else. So I would still advise that even if the library board were to approve an action item for date specific this month, we still have a board meeting on the 19th. And if something were to happen or dates or whatever else, God forbid, we had to ask for another day or whatever else, there'd be communications well in advance of that, but we'd be coming to you on that board meeting. As of right now, there is no changing though, because we have already published, I think, or at least given the information over. It's not yet, okay,
Well,
but we've given the
so
information over.
dependent on this meeting today and the action item, the newsletter that goes out to almost 30,000 people, and all of the, marketing that goes behind this will have already been put out there. Not that we couldn't correct something if we needed to, because if we have to, we have to. But we just want to make sure that the dates are the dates, and hopefully we can stick to those dates. And adjusting scheduling, and then in my report, I'll talk about what the staff are going to be doing during that time. ILA happens, we're going to have an in-service, so we're trying to schedule a lot of things during that.
I just need to hear that again. What you're saying is what's already ready to print is what we're hopefully moving forward with, and therefore we would hopefully, or it's already out the door.
No, it's not out the door. Dependent on voting on this time frame, we'll have a newsletter, like we'll pull a switch tomorrow and let the printer know that those are the dates and that Beth and I are scheduling in-service training sessions, scheduling people for ILA. All of this stuff happens during that week. So we just want to make sure we can do that, and then staff, schedule staff accordingly, and then set up with furniture, set up with our IT person to make sure that she can be there on certain days with our new outsourced IT vendor. So just lots of scheduling.
Done kicking the tires.
Scheduling.
I said I'm done kicking the tires.
So the motion will be, which we'll make, we're talking about October 19th through October 28th.
Mhm.
Right?
So, would you like a motion, Ms.
Yes,
President?
but I just want to clarify.
Okay.
that. Yes, I would like a motion.
Madam President, I will make that motion. I move to approve the library closure to move from phase 1 to phase 2 of the renovation project with closure dates of October 19th through October 28th.
I will second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Liz Sullivan,
Aye.
Karen Larson,
Aye.
Jenny Norton.
Aye.
Emily Swistak,
Aye.
Lorna Turner.
Aye.
Sarah Wynn.
Aye.
Marjorie Bartelli.
Aye. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Mark.
All right, thank you all.
Thanks, Mark.
Yeah, so,
Thanks for coming back.
I know, thank you for having me, yeah. Next month, yeah. Yeah, you guys all, well,
Thank you.
Agenda item 6, committee reports. 6A is finance. Any report?
Nope.
Okay, thank you. 6B, personnel and policy.
We've got a bunch of policies that are up for discussion and approval tonight, so we'll see that then. And then I need to talk to the director about scheduling our next meeting.
Okay.
So committee members, be on the lookout for that. And then you'll have your deadline for your homework assignment.
Oh, geez.
We're working on revamping the director's job description.
Don't put me on her committee.
So,
Okay,
so updates will be forthcoming, but we do have a lot of policies tonight.
great, thank you. Physical plan.
We had a meeting on the 14th and talked about the roof inspection report and repairs that were going to be made. The landscape options on Kingston Avenue, the 3 trees that were going to be cut down, scrub brush that was going to be removed. They're going to plant arborvitaes and do mulch, or wasn't it arborvitaes?
The dwarf.
Dwarf.
ones.
Dwarf
Spruce.
ones.
Spruce, yeah,
Spruce,
spruce.
yes. And then Director McQuillan gave us a facility update as well. Otherwise, we don't have anything scheduled at this time.
Thank you. Advocacy and outreach, Trustee Sullivan.
Nothing at this time, but when we get to deciding there's some options, and you and I've talked about this, when we've just decide that there's some options we might want to pursue but can't afford, I think at that point we might consider fundraising for additional items. You know, and I think something like the Lisle that everybody, you know, could get behind and support would, you know, if we have another project like that, I think that would be great.
Good. Thank you. Agenda item 7, staff reports, Director Weinstein.
Okay, I'll just start with the I'm gonna mix up some of the items in my report here, but I'll start with the consolidated election in 2023. In April, there'll be 4 seats up, and there are candidate packets at the library and also on lisle.library.org if you visit the board page. And the local elections are on Tuesday, April 4th. Candidate guides, like the big thick guide, can also be found on the DuPage County website. And as of this past Tuesday, candidates can ask for signatures for the petition. So I just want to make a couple of announcements regarding public solicitation of signatures, that candidates cannot circulate petitions inside the library at all or within 15 feet of the door, about approximately. They cannot obstruct someone from entering the building to sign their petition, and cannot set up a chair or a table or a sign on our property. However, they are able to collect signatures in our parking lot or on our sidewalks, as long as they're not right next to the front door. So I just wanted to let the public know that. Next on my list here, I recently visited the Lisle Women's Club's monthly board meeting, actually in this very room. I updated the club about the renovation. I gave a PowerPoint presentation, answered a few questions, and we actually gained a new book club member from coming to that very meeting, so that was very nice. And moving on to renovation activities, the department directors and I met with Mark Rogers and Hallett Movers. We talked about the next big move to phase 2. Staff will be on premises for the majority of the closure. We're going to be assisting with the office spaces. The furniture company will move and place the workstations, but we still have all the boxes of stuff for our desks. And Sandy, our IT manager, is going to help with IT configuration, but staff will also assist with that because there's lots of plugs and wires and things like that. And Chris does a great job too of assisting with the IT configs of all of the desks. We're going to continue to order materials during the closure. We're going to assist patrons via email, and we'll also still be receiving deliveries. So ILA is happening during that time, so we'll be sending some staff to ILA, and Beth and I are also developing an in-service session for staff, which will include sexual harassment training, and we may possibly work with the police department on some safety and security training too. So thank you for approving of the dates, so then we can start to nail down some of these dates with some of our people. In other renovation news, I just wanted to mention that the drive aisle on the south side of the building, all that work got completed. The fencing is now back in the other configuration it was in. But I wanted to also mention, I mentioned this at physical plant, the reason the fencing was pushed out is because we did the repair work and the stormwater replacement of the pipes for the stormwater on the south lot, and that was per the FQC recommendation. So all that work got addressed as part of this renovation. And then lastly in this category, we are transitioning from our old outsourced IT company to a new company. The new vendor is called Current Technologies, so you'll be seeing invoices from that new vendor now. And they've already been on the construction site. They've worked with Sandy in the new, what will be the new server room. It's the same room, but it's gutted. So they're gonna help Sandy set up the server racks and replug in everything and put in new switches and all that kind of fun stuff. So, and she's happy with that So that's good news. Moving on to outreach news, we've done quite a few outreaches. If you read my report, we've issued new cards, we've reviewed old cards, we've talked about book groups, we've discussed home delivery, and conducted story time. So we visited Villa St. Benedict Senior Living, Lisle High School, Naperville's Healthy, Wealthy, and Wise Senior Conference, Giant Steps, St. Joan of Arc School, and KinderCare just in the last 30 days. So staff have really been doing a great job in spreading the word about the library and doing a lot of fun activities with the community. And I'm going to move on to, which I'm going to ask some of, an opinion of the board. So as you know, the library offers a number of civic services. We do voter registration, we provide notary services, we do Illinois license plate sticker renewals, and all of these services are super popular with our residents. I mentioned in prior meetings that we're also looking to offer garbage stickers and fishing licenses. So I have a question regarding the garbage stickers. I want to also share some revenue numbers with you. So we've sold license plate sticker renewals for a little over 2 years now. We charge an $8.50 processing fee, as many other agencies do. You can either charge $9.50, $8.50, $7.50. We've seen for $10 for the state. It's around that. So we picked a nice middle of the road number to charge as a processing fee. In fiscal year 2020, we've netted close to $3,000 from selling license plate stickers. In fiscal year 2021, about $3,800 in license plate stickers. And so far in this fiscal year, starting in July, about $456. So that's just to give you a general idea of the revenue garnered from license plate stickers, which can vary because I think the standard is $150 a sticker, and if you get vanity plates or something like that, it's more. But it depends on what you pay in terms of how much obviously. If you use cash, there are no fees associated with this. But if you use your credit card and swipe it, we get charged a fee as a user of the credit card company. So we are charged 19 cents per transaction, plus approximately between 2.5 and 3% of the transaction amount. Again, varying on the type of purchase, whether it's, a vanity plate or personalized, things like that. So just giving you little numbers here. So going back to garbage stickers, the current rate for a garbage sticker in the Village of Lisle is $3.24 per sticker. Lisle Township is higher. It's like $4.30 green sticker versus purple sticker. We would sell them as a sheet, so 5 stickers in a sheet, $16.20. So much smaller purchase amount than a $150 license plate sticker, but anyway. So 100 sheets would total $1,620. So we have an option, if we wanted to place a surcharge on selling a sheet of stickers, 5 stickers. For the record, Jewel does not charge a surcharge because they bundle it into the cost of doing business, because most every purchase is on a credit card at Jewel generally, and they just bundle it into that. The village also sells stickers, and I talked to the village manager, and he said they don't charge anything if you walk up and use the POS, point of sale charge. However, he did mention, and they said they also don't sell a lot of village stickers at Village Hall because he thinks most people buy them at the Jewel.
Mm-hmm.
He also did mention though, even though they don't charge a surcharge if you buy just stickers, he said, I believe they're implementing a new online pay software program at the village, and you can buy stickers, you can buy permits, you can buy whatever else
Hopefully pay
via through this.
Yeah, you can't pay your sewer bill or the sewer bill.
But that's
It's gotta be
through the
cash, it's
county.
gotta be check.
But that's through the county,
No, not the, it's Village of Lisle.
the water bill.
I don't have a water bill, cause I'm on a well.
Okay,
So at using this software program, and I can't be quoted, but that will charge the user regardless of what you purchase via this, online pay program. So in a sense, the village will have a surcharge if you use this online pay program. So I just wanted to put that out there. So if a patron bought one sheet at the library for $16.20 via a credit card, to break even, the library would need to place a 68-cent surcharge on that sheet of stickers. So we could implement a 68-cent surcharge, or we can implement $1 to make it clean. If we did that, and if we sold 100 sheets of 5, the library would make $32. So if we wanted to, we could, or we could just say it's the cost of doing business and offer it without a surcharge. It's just something I wanted to bring up and see what you thought. You could, again, it's a lower cost item versus the license plate stickers. However, both do, there's still some staff, and it's not just selling a sticker, there's some accounting that goes on. So there is a processing fee. So, charging a processing fee is not, outrageous. It's just whether or not you want to. What do you think?
You can also buy it at the township, right? And at Walgreens too, I think. I wonder if they charge any fees.
I don't think the township does, I'm not sure. It's whether or not you want to charge a surcharge.
I'd keep it simple. I'd sell them, throw $1 on there, and just tell them, we add $1 because there's processing fees, and that's what covers it.
My comment is, do we wanna get into it even?
right.
It's a lot of,
Selling stickers?
I imagine it's gonna be a lot of work for staff to keep track of the stickers and
It's not
sell
a
the
lot of
stickers.
work, it's just bookkeeping. Not to say that that's not work, it is, but the reason I bring it up is because the library's also looking at, well, we already have, it's in the works, but purchasing a new cash register for the library that works with our Polaris system, and it allows for a better itemization of charges. So if in the future we wanted to sell t-shirts or mugs, fishing licenses, things like that, that would be an itemized way to report charges. So this is just thinking in the future, if we wanted to generate revenue, even though this particular topic would not generate a lot of revenue, it's just, I wanted to know the way the board wanted to, the path.
But I'm thinking about a busy person has got to run here and there. And sometimes, I've run out of garbage stickers and it's not time to go to the Jewel, but the Butera just closed, which is where I used to get them. So now I got to make a special trip to the Jewel, but I really don't eat groceries. It'd be kind of nice if I could just, if I were going here anyway, buy them here. And I'd be willing to pay the extra processing fee, but because frankly, I don't even know what a page of stickers costs.
$16.20.
And that's scary to me because I never knew that they cost that much. But
You get 5 stickers, $3.24.
Except for mine would be.
I would consider it a convenience more
Well,
than
and
a.
this is why I'm bringing it, because I'm looking at ways to not generate a lot of revenue, but provide conveniences for our patrons. The choice is whether or not we want to place a surcharge or a processing fee.
Well, so here's the thing too, if it's, you said $16.20, so like if someone had cash, then $17.20, like it would be easier just to be like, it's just 17. So even though it's not $1, it's 80 cents, but still then it would just be an even amount of money. It'd be a lot easier than if people were paying with cash and they wouldn't have to worry about change. Just a thought. It doesn't account for the fact that the prices might go up for the.
They could.
When's our next newsletter?
Tomorrow we're pulling the trigger on the newsletter.
It's what?
Tomorrow we are pulling the trigger on the newsletter.
Pulling the trigger.
Just for timing.
I mean, did you want to ask the question? Hey, can we still get it in?
No.
Never mind.
That's okay.
We could get in the next one. If
Yeah,
we
don't
if
have
we
to
went
decide
forward, well, we could decide tonight and this might not be implemented for another month and then it would go in the next one anyway. We've done, we could soft launch.
I don't think it's meant to be revenue generating, if other organizations are not. I don't think we wanna be the front runner of trying to earn any significant revenues off of it. I do believe we shouldn't go out of pocket for it. So, being made whole for a processing fee plus the value of our staff's time and making simple round numbers seems reasonable to me.
So Emily, your comment, you say the village, if you pay in cash, there's no fees? Or is that just in?
At the village, there's no surcharge.
There's-
However, if you use their online pay program and you add, you're buying a sticker, you're buying your permit, or you're buying whatever else the village offers, you will be charged. And I don't know what that is. It could be $1, it could be $5, it could be 10, I don't know. And I'm not even sure that system is operating yet, but there will be a surcharge.
There is, I mean, like when I used to get a permit, I just gave them a check because I didn't wanna pay the processing fee. And they're very good about turning your permit. You can go walk in and get a permit, but I was left too early in the morning. The village hall wasn't open. I just dropped the permit in the mailbox there. And then they mail it, and the next 2 days later, I had the permit. They were very efficient about mailing it out.
I think if you feel the staff, it's not a imposition on staff as far as taking them away from something else. And if we're going with the new IT vendor or whatever, the new payment system, if we add other ways to pay for things, didn't you mention that?
We'll get a new cash register, yes.
Okay, it is a nice service, nice convenience, and I think it would be well received by the resident. And since putting the surcharge on is nominal, then why do it? Add the surcharge. What's your thinking?
I'm fine with a processing fee. I think $1 is nominal. But there's like I said, there's some accounting, some bookkeeping that has to be made, and a processing fee I think is reasonable. But again, I just wanted you to be aware that other entities in town, businesses, don't. So,
Well, it's understandable why they don't, like a Jewel.
well, Jewel,
Sure.
Yeah, you're spending
absorb
how
it.
much there anyway, right?
Well, Lorna, Karen,
Well,
Sarah?
my feeling was, do we even wanna get into it?
It's fair.
I mean, we can do it. I mean, I don't see a great big benefit by doing it.
yeah, there's not a huge financial
Yeah.
gain.
I mean, it's nice and it would be great for patrons when they come in and they're.
I like
opening
providing conveniences like this because we have had so much positive feedback from the license plate. And Beth, I can't remember what Jackie said, this last month with license plate,
Oh, we doubled the number of renewals versus the previous month.
Do you mean our card renewals?
No, license plate,
Like-
I'm sorry, license plate sticker renewals. So normally we were doing, about 30, I think for the last 30 days that was accounting, we did 56. So there
Oh,
was just,
cool.
And
So
part of
word
the
of mouth
problem
is
is,
spreading that we offer this service, and so, and people really like doing it at the library versus going to the DMV.
I
so
see.
part of the problem too is when, and I did this past month, when I, like my last vehicle, I sent a check to the Secretary of State's office. And it used to be the Secretary of State's office used to be terrific. You sent a check in and a week later you have your sticker. Took probably 6 or 7 weeks to get my license from the Secretary, license renewal sticker from the Secretary of State. So the services have obviously gone down, whether it's the whole pandemic and people working from home, I don't know. But there's a problem there at the Secretary of State's office.
There's no line in Mendota where I went.
Well, by the time you drive out to Mendota.
I'll take you with me.
So, and they don't,
Sarah.
so you don't, and it's the Secretary of State's office that does it.
I'll tell you later.
Because you can renew it at the DMV out there in Aurora, but
Okay, let's move on, because we could spend all night on this.
I'm kind of teetering between yes, it's a nice convenience, but is there a benefit? Not so much. I like how Jenny put it as yes, it is, but let's not go out of pocket for it. But it's a nice convenience to have.
And I'll add it's one more way to get foot traffic. And I don't think, we would ever, unless it's something that's against the values of the library, we would not want to discourage foot traffic where we could add another convenience to draw more public good to our building.
Emily?
I'm fine with her.
So shall we put it as, we're all in agreement, we'd like to offer the service. The question is, do we want to put a surcharge
Let Tatiana decide how to do it.
No pressure.
on it? Yeah, no pressure. So when I won't say this because it's, never mind. Let's just, surcharge or no surcharge?
Yes, whatever she feels is appropriate.
Second.
Okay, not a formal motion, but consensus? I'm good with the surcharge.
Just don't make it exorbitant.
I didn't offer anything outside of $1.
Okay. So, let's go forward with that.
And lastly, in my report, I just wanted to remind the board that next month we'll be meeting at the Lisle Park District in the Senior Center area. If you don't know where that is, just enter through the 1925 Ohio Street door and there'll be signs. That is my report.
Thank you.
Can I ask you a question before we move on?
Sure.
And maybe I should have asked this when Mark was here, but it didn't pop into my head until after he was gone. So right now, staff is in like half of the meeting rooms is staff offices, and there's staff in the current youth services activity room and things like so when you have to move into the new part, right, all of those things are gonna have to move somewhere into the new part,
Yes,
right? Because that part's gonna be closed.
yes.
So it's not, this is just for me kind of talking here, so it's not like phase 1 is gonna be officially done the way it's gonna be at the end, because you're still gonna have like adult fiction is gonna need to move back down there and staff is gonna need to be in some places and things like that. So it's not gonna be like what it will eventually look like.
So phase 1 construction of the major areas will be completed. However, people who are on the public side of the building will have to move, as you said, and we
Right.
will still be consolidating shelving and staff. So where the teen room is now,
Mm-hmm.
it will be the circulation services offices.
Okay.
And admin and youth services and technical services will move into their new offices. Adult services, all of their staff will move into the new play area where that swoop
Okay.
is. That will be sectioned off with walls, big walls.
Okay.
So they're gonna be behind there. So when we do this big move, when we're closed, all of the adult services who are in the study rooms right now, all of those desks and computers need to move into that play area
Okay.
temporarily.
Okay.
So we have all the staff on the west end
Okay.
and the shelves will be not perfectly configured. We're gonna have adult services staff at the new desk where youth services staff will be stationed as well as adult services staff, so we can help people
Okay.
out with those materials.
And then once phase 2 is done, then the stuff that's off-site is gonna come back and
Yes.
all of that
Yes, and
before we do our grand.
we will
reopening.
arrange, again, adult services will move up,
Okay.
services will move back,
Okay,
and then
okay,
cleaning
okay.
and.
I was just curious because we hadn't talked about that, we talked about it before construction started, but I kind of wanted an update.
Yes.
Thanks.
Just so the residents understand that how it's going to be.
I think it'll be very evident. But yes, we will, yeah, in the newsletter, there's a
Confusing.
yeah, in the newsletter, there'll be a page that talks about phase 1, phase 2, and then when they enter into off of Front Street and using the Front Street lot, it's going to be not complete. There'll be a little bit of an explanation there.
Okay,
Okay.
thanks.
Anything else? Oh, Assistant Director McQuillan?
So the West Side Landscaping Project was mentioned, and that talked to the landscaper, and he's got it penciled in, should be completed depending on weather in the next 10 days or so. He said, yes, and so they are taking a couple of dead trees out of that area and cleaning up some growth that's around a few of the trees. And then they're gonna plant 6 small evergreens to make it look real nice. And that'll complete that whole west side, then will be all cleaned up. And at the same time, the other day I talked to the landscaper about moving the fuchsia peonies that are so pretty, that everyone likes, that are at the east door. And they're gonna do that actually in the next week.
Oh.
So, and he's moving it to the northwest corner, where not too far from our sign that's there now, sort of just behind the rock area. So that's gonna get done. And this is proper time to be transplanting these peonies, so, and we'll be watering them, so
Okay.
we'll be watching that. We're getting a new Knox box, which is what the fire department uses to get into our building in an emergency. And that will be at the receiving door. So we already have this piece, so that'll get installed as we start using the west side of the building. And finally, we had a wasp nest that was removed, and it was in the east parking lot. We used our pest control technician, came and took it out. It was in the evergreens, and it was about the size of a bowling ball. And the wasps that are in there were actually what they're called is white face hornets. So he saw them and he was able to identify them. So it was kind of fascinating. But, and that's it. That's kind of the update for physical plant and facility.
Did you bring any of the wasps home to
No.
keep as pets?
I'm glad no one's,
Right,
that we know of anyway.
exactly.
Thank you, Beth. Agenda item 8, new business, 8 to approve LLD policy 315, loan periods.
I move to approve LLD policy 315 loan periods, approval of revisions to LLD policy 315 loan periods.
I'll second.
Discussion?
I can go over it quickly in the packet for all the policies where you are considering this evening. There is a draft and then a clean copy. The drafts have adjustments from 2 personnel policy committee meetings. There's some edits in there. So for policy 315, this particular draft has some, we've increased checkout periods, we've allowed for more renewals, we've corrected some language and corrected the acronyms at the bottom of the chart there. So this was pretty boilerplate, but we just updated it and allowed for more access, really.
Any questions? Chris, roll call?
Emily Swissack,
Aye.
Liz Sullivan,
Aye.
Karen Larson,
Aye.
Jenny Norton.
Aye.
Lorna Turner.
Aye.
Sarah Wynn.
Aye.
Marjorie Bartelli.
Aye. Policy 315 approved. APs, approve LLD policy 330, rails, fines, and fees.
I move to approve revisions to LLD policy 330, rails, fines, and fees.
I'll second.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I don't care.
So this one again, this has, it's basically a tidy up policy. It hasn't been updated in 9 years. It's got some better language. It's got a statement regarding compliance with codes, and then a simpler statement regarding abiding with policies and fulfilling any outstanding obligations. And the strikeouts that are on the draft are just unnecessary there, so that's really what it's about.
Any questions? Roll call?
Emily Swissack.
Aye.
Liz Sullivan.
Aye.
Karen Larson.
Aye.
Jenny Norton.
Aye.
Lorna Turner.
Aye.
Sarah Wynn.
Aye.
Marjorie Bartelli.
Aye. Thank you. HC is approved policy 675, keys and keyless access systems.
I move to approve revisions to LLD policy 675, keys and keyless access systems.
I'll second.
Okay, this policy has not been updated since 2002, and with renovation, we have a new layer of access, and that would be keyless entry. So we're adding that to this policy. We've changed the name of the policy. It's got a better introductory paragraph. And then the Personnel Policy Committee also made some additional edits to the draft. There's a footnote added to it.
Thank you for
Changed some
doing that.
language. You're welcome. And that's about it.
Great. Questions? Roll call?
Emily Swissack.
Aye.
Karen Larson.
Aye.
Jenny Norton.
Aye.
Liz Sullivan.
Aye.
Lorna Turner.
Aye.
Sarah Wynn.
Aye.
Marjorie Bartelli.
Aye. Thank you. 8Ds approve LLD policy 680, property damage.
I move to approve revisions to LLD policy 680, property damage.
I second.
We have a
You're up.
second, so you're up.
Yeah, I just go, oh, what did you say? Okay, so this policy, this has not again been revised since 2002. It again has a better introductory statement. And then we broke it down into 4 categories of insurance, security, crime, and outcomes. The previously written policy was very short and it just described criminal activity very specifically, but it didn't reference any protective insurance, a security policy, or outcomes after damage. We've also referenced an old ordinance back in 1983 honoring the work of that particular board. And then I think the only change that the committee made was changing one of the words to consider, and we
Yeah.
did that.
Entertainment.
Okay. That's it.
Roll call?
Emily Swissack.
Aye.
Sarah Wynn.
Aye.
Karen Larson.
Aye.
Jenny Norton.
Aye.
Liz Sullivan.
Aye.
Lorna Turner.
Aye.
Marjorie Bartelli.
Aye. Thank you. 8Es approve LLD policy 700, expenditures, contracts, and grants.
I move to approve revisions to LLD policy 700, expenditures, contracts, and grants.
I'll second.
Dr. Weinstein?
Thank you. All right, this is another one from 2002. Again, a better introductory statement, a breakdown between expenditures and contracts and grants, a better grouping of what was laid out in the previous written policy. We also referenced policy 705, which the old policy didn't. It also references the Local Records Act, which the previous policy did not. And we also just modified the area where it talks about grants. It's just a bit more fleshed out.
Any questions? Roll call?
Emily Swissack.
Aye.
Karen Larson.
Aye.
Jenny Norton.
In spite of the Oxford comma, aye.
Liz Sullivan.
Aye.
Lorna Turner.
Aye.
Sarah Wynn.
Aye.
Marjorie Bartelli.
Aye. Thank you. AF approve LLD policy 710, fund balances.
I move to approve revisions to LLD policy 710 fund balances.
Second.
Director Weinstein?
This policy is just again, cleanup work, under item 4, we struck the working cash fund and the O2 fund as the board dissolved these two funds, in previous years. And then we've also removed the finance director as we no longer have an on-staff finance director, and we've included authorized financial vendors instead. So it's just a quick cleanup of this policy.
Any questions? Roll call?
Emily Sostak,
Aye.
Jenny Norton,
Aye.
Karen Larson,
Aye.
Liz Sullivan,
Aye.
Lorna Turner,
Aye.
Sarah Wynn,
Aye.
Marjorie Bartelli,
Aye. Thank you. Approve LLD policy 715, accounts payable and payroll.
I move to approve revisions to LLD policy 715 accounts payable and payroll.
Second.
Okay. So this is the last policy on our list. So this policy was 11 years old and it got a new title, so it wasn't properly titled. And it involves accounts and payable and payroll, and responsible parties and their actions. So we kept the same breakdown here, but better delineated or clarified what actually happens within each category. We also added a controls category. Per the personnel policy committee, I contacted our auditor. I also provided some more clarification by email to trustees and then tried to make it a more general policy, using more general policy language in the policy.
Thank you for doing that.
Please. Any questions?
Yes.
Yes.
I would suggest that under accounts payable, the last sentence, last paragraph, we change the word next to following for clarity.
Could you say that one more time? I'm sorry, it took me a while to get to the clean.
What page are we?
We're on page
62.
60.
62, can we look at the clean copy?
Oh, okay.
It would just be easier, thank you.
Sure.
62.
Okay, 62,
It's the last sentence of A, last line.
yes, change, if you would consider changing the word next, where it says next regular board meeting, I would like it changed to the following regular board meeting. Just for clarity.
Good with that?
And you don't think I read this stuff.
Jenny, are you good with this? This is the one you had questions on, so are you good with the
Oh, yeah.
edits?
Oh, certainly.
Okay.
Thank you. That was very helpful.
Roll call?
Well, you have to change your motion then, right?
As amended. Okay, so I move to approve revisions to LLD policy 715 accounts payable and payroll as amended.
I second.
No discussion? Great. Now,
Emily Sostak,
Aye.
Sarah Wynn,
Aye.
Karen Larson,
Aye.
Jenny Norton.
Aye.
Liz Sullivan,
Aye.
Lorna Turner,
Aye.
Marjorie Bartelli.
aye. Thank you. Just a FYI, on the policy 680, when you reference the board ordinance R-3 from July of 1983, it's not in our packets, but it's interesting reading to see how they wrote an ordinance back then. The library board. It was very well done. I aspire to be able to write an ordinance like that. You might want to ask the director for a copy. Weren't you impressed with it?
Yeah.
It was so well written.
So the library board can write an ordinance.
That, I guess so, they did.
They can write it per the attorney, I would say. Yes.
Okay. I just thought they.
Go home and write and start writing.
No, I
Are we
didn't,
expecting
I
the
didn't
board
think
to
that they
do
had
their
the
work?
legal authority. I thought only the village board could legally write
Well, but
ordinance.
it's our.
It's an
our
ordinance for
entity.
us.
Yeah.
Oh, that's true, that's true.
Right,
Okay,
we're not
okay, got
writing
it.
village ordinance.
Gotcha. Sorry, taking over the world here.
Which we're gonna vote on a library ordinance coming up here.
That's
right.
true.
There you go.
I was confused, sorry.
Okay, H, adopt ordinance 24-04, budget and appropriation.
I move to adopt LLD ordinance 22-04, the budget and appropriation ordinance of such sums of money as may be deemed necessary to defray all necessary expenses and liabilities of the Lisle Library District for the fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2022 and ending June 30th, 2023.
We have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you.
Okay, so yes, this is the same document the board saw last month. Our attorney has reviewed and approved the amounts, and he also provided footnotes within. Again, this is an ordinance that Illinois taxing districts must adopt in order to spend the funding the library receives. And the appropriation column designates the library's authorization to expend funds for any necessary obligations that extend beyond the budgeted categories. So it's basically the same because there are no edits.
Any questions? Chris, on the roll?
Jenny Norton.
Aye.
Karen Larson.
Aye.
Liz Sullivan.
Aye.
Emily Sostek.
Aye.
Lorna Turner.
Aye.
Sarah Wynn.
Aye.
Marjorie Martelli.
Aye. Approve certificate of estimated revenue.
I move to approve the certificate of estimated revenue for fiscal year 2022-2023.
A second.
Okay, so this document, all of the numbers on this document come from the board approved working budget as well as from the county regarding the tax estimates. So it's just basically a rehash of our numbers.
Any questions? Chris?
Jenny Norton.
Aye.
Sarah Wynn.
Aye.
Karen Larson.
Aye.
Liz Sullivan.
Aye.
Emily Sostek.
Aye.
Lorna Turner.
Aye.
Marjorie Martelli.
Aye. Approve LLD ordinance 22-05, transferring funds to special reserve.
Got it. I move to approve LLD ordinance 22-05, transferring funds to special reserve and authorization to transfer $1,010,000 from dollars USD from the corporate fund to the special reserve fund.
I'll second.
So per our attorney, another ordinance here, having an ordinance is required to transfer funds from corporate to special reserve, and we're transferring the remainder of the funds associated with the renovation project from corporate to special. This is all for clean accounting purposes.
Any questions? Chris?
Jenny Norton.
Aye.
Liz Sullivan.
Aye.
Karen Larson.
Aye.
Emily Sostek.
Aye.
Lorna Turner.
Aye.
Sarah Wynn.
Aye.
Marjorie Martelli.
Aye. Okay. Agenda item 9 is opportunity for trustee comments. Trustee Wynn?
A lot was, a lot. There's just a lot of information, a lot we talked about. It was, for me, like I was just taking it all in. It was all making sense, and it was nice to I was absent the last meeting, so it was nice to, get the live version instead of the video. So if I was quiet, it was because I was like definitely listening to what everybody had. I just, again, it's great to have Mark on the team. He's always has the best interest, the library's interest. And I'm here. So,
Good. Thank you, Sarah. Treasurer Turner?
Not really, just appreciate getting caught on everything. Just appreciate getting brought to speed on everything, so that's all.
Vice President Sostek?
I haven't said this in a while. I'm excited about the renovation. It just feels like it's getting more, not that it's not real already, but just the prospect of closing to change to phase 2 and all that is it's just getting more exciting as far as that goes. And I'm looking forward to seeing the new landscaping on the west end when we get the southwest end of it. I'm really excited to see how that's gonna look. So anyway, that's it.
Trustee Sullivan.
Of course, I'm looking at the numbers. Sorry, Jenny, taking this part from you. What's really, really great is even with all the renovations, our computer technology programs having a lot more attendees. And of course, Overdrive Digital Media is continuing to grow year over year. And because we had such a nice summer, museum, and because of the program that you increased our availability of passes, the museum adventure passes have gone up. So even though we're going through this renovation where people aren't able to always be as much in the building, there are significant areas where we're continuing to serve the public in greater and greater numbers. So thank you for that, Tatiana.
Great. Thanks, Liz. Treasurer Norton.
Thank you. I just want to say, in addition to the usual thanks and kudos, that I greatly appreciated the physical plant update tonight. Sincerely. That was delightful.
Secretary Larson.
I have no comment.
I attended Depot Days and we had a table there with 3 staff. Several people stopped by while I was there. It's a good sign. I want to compliment the Physical Plant Committee for a great meeting and good progress. And also the Personnel and Policy Committee meeting on all of our updated policies. Great job, Chairperson Swistak. And also, Trustee Sullivan and I happened to be in the library when Director Weinstein was going to start setting up the tours. So we got lucky and we got our tour early and it's really cool. I mean, very nice. Starting, well, it is taking shape. It's nice to finally understand, but I still don't know my directions in the building.
True.
But they
True.
help me, but very, very, very nice, great progress. So, thank you.
And to be on the inside and to be looking at where those entrances are going to be, it's just amazing.
Yeah. Great. Okay, last item on the agenda is to adjourn.
I move to adjourn.
Second. You beat me.
I
I
know.
don't think anyone, can we just do all in favor? All in favor?
Aye.
Meeting adjourned at 8:32.